So, Mrs. Walton, what exactly were you trying to do?
So our class just started a new unit on American Romanticism, and I wanted to start with the Gothic fiction section of that, and I thought that Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven will be perfect because it's a super fun poem. So the goal that I wanted the students to reach was to be able to identify structures of Gothic fiction and poetic devices in the text, which in this case is a poem. And I wanted them to analyze how the structure of a text influences the meaning and our interpretation of that. So with that, I decided to, instead of reading it as a class and reading it together, I wanted them to have total participation, and I thought in order to do that, I'm going to have them work in their literature circles and read sections of the poem together, so it would be less of me reading the poem to them and gradually releasing that power and having them work on that in groups.
Welcome to this week's episode of Innovative Teaching. This week we're with Miss Walton. Miss Walton, what were you trying to accomplish there? It was awesome.
Oh, why thank you. What I was trying to accomplish was I was trying to implement strategies in my class that would promote the gradual release of instruction, which is something that my department deals with our staff development with Carrie Soliday. So instead of reading the poem together as a class, which we could have done and we have done before, I decided to have the students get into small groups of 3 to 4, and then they were each assigned different stanzas of the poem. So each group had a different set of stanzas. Then what they did in their groups was they got markers, and they actually had the stanzas printed out on a larger sheet of paper, and they were together as a group to annotate the stanzas and mark, different forms of alliteration, internal rhyme, end rhyme, all these different poetic devices, and then also have a discussion about what types of Gothic literature, what elements of Gothic literature were present in those stanzas. Then at the end of the class, we came together as a class, and each group presented their stanzas. They read their stanzas out loud to the class, and then they essentially taught the class their stanza. So instead of me reading the poem with them and guiding them through the poem, I had them do it in their groups, and they essentially taught the class instead of me teaching them.
So what do you think went well?
What I think went well is that since they were working in groups, it forced everybody to participate. The goal was, at the end of class, like I said, to come together and be able to explain to the class or teach the class the poetic devices and the use of elements of Gothic literature. So it held everybody accountable, and they were responsible for taking some part of the activity.
What would you do differently next time?
Well, what I would do differently is my class is usually very vibrant and enthusiastic, but that day I had a lot of students absent. So since there were so many students absent, I had to give the groups that were there a heavier workload. So I had to give them, instead of 3 stanzas, they got 4 to 5 stanzas from the poem. So I feel like I need to be a little bit more flexible, and I should have planned a little bit better about students being absent. So I would have to take back some of that workload from the students.
Fantastic work. It was exciting to see you out there. It was good stuff.
Yeah.